أهلكناهم إنهم كانوا مجرمين وما خلقنا السماوات والأرض وما بينهما لاعبين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Welcome and welcome back to Salam Radio. This is Tomorrow's Voice. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Tomorrow's Voice. I'm your host for today, Abdul-Roqeeb, and with me we have Malik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we have the esteemed guest, Brother Joshua. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
It's good to have you with us, Brother Joshua. I feel like no longer can we be calling you a guest now. You've basically become a repeated figure, which we see here often at Salam Radio. Thank you for honoring us with your presence, alhamdulillah. And today's topic, last week we were talking about the story of Prophet Musa. That show was Zakariya and I, with the addition of Isa. And we thought to take a break because this topic we thought was more prudent and more appropriate for the time. The title of today's show is Back to School. The title is Back to School due to the children going back to school, and or will be continuing from Monday. Most students, from my understanding, went back to school this Wednesday, at least Wednesday, Thursday, around about that time. If they didn't go back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, definitely they'll be going back at the start of this week. This Monday coming will be the official full week, I believe, of term. And alhamdulillah, another year has passed. Now our children, some of them are starting year 6, year 7, for example. It's a new, secondary school phase. Some of them have just got to year 1. Some of them finished nursery. Some of them have just finished year 11, going to year 12. So now that's a new dimension. And some of them, alhamdulillah, finished year 13. And now they are going to university. There's a lot to juggle with as parents, as carers during this time, because this is a new academic year, and with a new academic year comes worries. How my kid's going to be, what's going to happen, this, that. So we just wanted to discuss that for a little while. Now, as we've mentioned many times in the show, we are not scholars. Well, I'm not sure about these two, but I'm definitely not a scholar. Maybe these two are scholars in their own right.
Nah, not at all.
Passed it straight on.
I'm coming to you for guidance.
You're our teacher right now.
Literally. That's why I'm here.
We're literally taking notes.
We said we're taking it. Well, no, perhaps Sheikh Malik and Sheikh Joshua can tell you otherwise. But we're no scholars, but we are, we would like to think we are trying to be students of knowledge. So we take the little crumbs of knowledge that we get, and we want to repeat it to you guys. So our teacher was speaking about this topic, back to school, yesterday, and we thought, let's just share some of the things that he's mentioned and our thoughts on the topic. So before we get started, just wanted, if you two have any initial thoughts about back to school, if you'd like to share it, or I can make a start, inshallah.
No, yeah, as you said, back to school. Another thing that popped up is the fact that the season as well is kind of changing, right? So maybe perhaps we could touch on the timings of, like Aisha and Fajr Salah, and how, we can utilize that best as we go into this new season as well, inshallah. Okay,
good point. I think we definitely did during the summertime. We titled it Summer Fitna, but we also talk about the ni'mah of summer and, how you have extension, therefore you can pray, for example, more Qiyam and Layl and that sort of thing. So that's a good idea. Any initial thoughts on the topic of back to school?
Not for myself right now. No.
Okay, no problem, inshallah. Let's get started. So one of the things that we considered mentioning is, with every action, comes intention. Every action should be preluded with the intention. So, as we know, in the... Were you going to say it?
I was going to say, could you give us the Arabic, please?
Well, since you've now...
With
now that you've mentioned it, I was going to say it. Well, I will leave that honor to yourself.
If you say the narration, I will happily say the matan. No problem, inshallah.
You want to say the matan, but you want me to do the isnad?
Do this.
Oh, yeah.
At least 50 people. Narrator all the way
I
back.
don't know what I expected you to say, but at least 50, he said. God Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, which is a very, famous hadith, one of the ones that's usually right at the start of a hadith book or a hadith compilation, which is innamal a'malu binniyat. Indeed, action is according to intention. So we have to put that in our mindset. We're going to school, we're going back to school, and we as parents will be sending your children back to school. Why? Why are you sending your children back to school? Is it because the government, they said so, I have to send them? Is it because, I've had enough of them over those 6 weeks of holiday? They were fun, don't get me wrong, but had enough now, back to school. Absolutely. Is it because of any other reason? We should have, we can be helping ourselves get more reward by just fixing our intentions slightly. Why am I going back to school? Why am I sending my child back to school? So this is the two thoughts that both the parent, carers, and the children should be having. Am I going back to school because my mother, it's the government, but my parents go, you have to go back to school. Is that the reason why I'm going back to school? Am I going back to school so I can see my friends that can be playing football at lunchtime? Is that the reason why you're going back to school? So what is your intention behind going back to school? Your intention, if you fix it slightly, and say that it's for the sake of Allah, it's for the sake of learning knowledge, sacred knowledge, because we've done many shows on knowledge. Knowledge is very powerful. Knowledge is very powerful, and it's something that, we have been encouraged to seek out. That's why we say we're talib al-ilm. We're looking, we're searching for knowledge. So if you make the intention that you're going to school for the sake of Allah, you're going to school for the sake of seeking knowledge, albeit, worldly knowledge, but still important knowledge anyways, for the sake of, learning this so that you can better yourself as a Muslim, to better your community, and to better the whole world. Why are you going to school? And then the same for the parents as well. Why are you going to school? Why are you sending your children to school? You're sending your children to school, why? Not because you've had enough of their face, you've seen enough of them. Why? So that they can become something, so that they can understand the world better for the sake of the religion. Just fix your intention slightly and you'll be able to earn lots of reward. Of course, without intention as well, we'll get some reward for seeking knowledge. But, if you just fix your intention, you get an extra reward. And who wants to say, no, I don't want any extra reward? Who's going to say that?
Guaranteed Jannah. Even the Sahaba, they were guaranteed Jannah. They were
for example, the 10 promised Jannah. Okay, khalas, finished. I'm promised Jannah. I don't have to do anything else. No, they strived, they worked harder because they knew they were promised Jannah. It's not just anyone that would be entered into the Jannah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need as much reward, we need as much ajr as possible. And just by fixing your intention, by saying, I'm going to school because it's for the sake of Allah. I'm going to school because I want to better myself as a Muslim. I'm going to school because I want to, give da'wah to, my non-Muslim friends, for example. As long as you fix it to the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His religion, then you'll be getting extra ajr, you'll be getting extra reward, and it grounds you. Because many people, they go back to school, especially university, which I feel like, we'll come to that later, and I feel like that's a whole topic by itself. But especially when they go to university, they lose themselves. Like, some of the things you see at university, they didn't come to study. That's not what they did. They came to get away from their parents. They came to get away from their life. They're not studying. So it's very easy to lose yourself in the academic year, in the academic curriculum. I'm in year 10, I've got year 11 coming up, I've got exams, I've got this, I've got that. Before you know it, you're lost in the whole academic curriculum. But why are you doing this? Make sure you know the reason and you know the purpose of why you're doing it with your intention, and keep a hold of it. Because sometimes you might get lost, sometimes you might get confused. But if you remember your intention, then inshallah that will ground you.
And for the parents as well, another thing that Sheikh mentioned that I remember is the fact that when you have children, right, especially in, you're facilitating these means for them to get educated and to, understand everything better, is the fact that whenever we see, you know, random people, you know, convert others into Islam, we see that as, you know, such a great thing, right? Because now their whole Islam and everything that they do, you get a share of that, right? So, but then we don't really think about it because parents have that power, or they have that ability to get a share of the rewards of their own children, right? Who like, you have the most influence on your children for them, you know, to better their iman and to build them up as, you know, human beings that are going to contribute to the ummah, right? That are going to better the ummah, right? And I know we're saying, you know, academic studies and it's different, but at the end of the day, even you know, academic studies, it's very valuable knowledge, right? We're not downgrading academic knowledge just because it's not Islamic, just because it's not in a masajid. But at the end of the day, that parents, we should view like our children as great potential for our own, you know, benefit, if that makes sense, right? Before even them, we're benefiting ourselves by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, giving you that opportunity, that blessing for you to, you know, rise in the ranks. As it is said in the hadith that there's going to be parents in Jannah who have already gotten their place in Jannah, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to elevate them whilst they're already in there, right? And then they're going to say, oh Allah, what's, you know, I can't do any more good deeds in here. How did I elevate, right? And it's going to say, because you left someone behind who is making dua for you, right? So we should have this, you know, motivation, this encouragement to better our, you know, our children and to put them on the straight path. So even when you're gone, they still remember you and they still make dua for you, and they're still a source of goodness for you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very well said.
I guess it's a good way to better your character as well, and actually become more firm in your belief. Because it's easy to be a Muslim when you're surrounded by lots of Muslims, but going to school, you may be surrounded by a lot of non-believers, and there may be things going on that are not in line with Islam. So you might have to exclude yourself from certain situations. And I think it would give you a firmer hold on your belief and help you to understand why you're a Muslim and why you're not.
I think that's a very good point. As I mentioned, you know, sometimes it's so easy to get lost in everything. So it's a great way to ground yourself. It's a great way to say, you know, I am a Muslim. Certain things I can and I cannot do. I can't be a part of this.
It must be hard though. I've never thought about it until
it's certainly
recently.
not easy, that's for sure. It really isn't easy.
There's peer pressure, you don't want to stick out, you know.
And where do you do or do?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we were going to come up to that later. But since you've mentioned, it's so true. It really is quite difficult. I mean,
Even praying Salah.
It's for example, Salah time comes. You know, if you weren't in school, you would just go and do your wudu, you're at home and you would pray your dhuhr. But now you're at school. Now there's 400, and especially at such a young age, you're more, you know, what's the word? You're more receptive to, oh, everybody's looking at me.
Yeah, literally, you're conscious of,
you're extra conscious.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's very difficult. And I think parents need to understand this. I think parents need to appreciate this, that, you know, our children, they go through quite a lot. You know, it's time for dhuhr.
Yeah.
And, you know, you want to pray, but what's X person going to say? Oh, after lunch, oh, I saw you doing some weird stuff. You know, there's a lot of pressure that, you know, that's being exerted on our children as they're returning back to school. So it's important to give them some sense of, you know, preparation, some sense of, you know, it's all going to be okay.
Maybe it's good for parents to have like open conversation with the kids as well.
Definitely.
Like, ask them how the day's gone, and maybe ask them like, I don't know, Islamic questions as well.
Yeah, and especially if they're like the parents are taking the kids to school in like a car ride or something like that, they should utilize that time to, you know, spark up conversations to do with Islam and really have Islam as their like something they identify as, you know, their identity to be Islam.
That's very nice. It's not that they're a Muslim until they get to the school gate, they drop that identity, then they're normal, and then when they are getting picked up, back to Islam now. Or, you know, because unfortunately, this might be the state in which some of the kids are. You know, he starts as Muhammad, gets to the gate, he's Mo. The whole school day, Mo, comes back, Muhammad, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I was thinking, this is like, obviously a time where the child has to decide now, like, what do I want to do and how do I want to practice? So yeah, I've never thought about it until you've actually brought this topic up.
Now that you've mentioned it as well, it really, if you really deep it, this is the problem that we're seeing in our society. You know, people are, you know, some of our children, they're going, is Islam true? Is
literally, because science and
exactly. So I think that's a great idea. If you're in a car, start preparing, have Islamic conversations, those sorts of things.
And as you said, to do with, you know, how do you even do wudu? I mean, yeah. Salah and these
Malik,
like
I would
external-
love you to continue, but we're going on a break soon. So, inshallah, join us for whatever Sheikh Malik will say after the break.
Cliffhanger.
Jot it down. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum
series.
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Peterborough's community radio station, Salam Radio, 106.2 FM.
Bite into something wonderfully tasty at Big Mouth, 349 Lincoln Road in Peterborough. Eating in for takeaway or delivery. Big Mouth now have a delicious new menu full of all your favourites. Crispy fried chicken, juicy smashed burgers, finger-licking peri-peri chicken, handmade pizzas, quality doner meat and so much more. So visit the family-friendly Big Mouth restaurant for fantastically fresh food. Call 01733 201020 or visit getbigmouthonline.com.
Are you a savvy shopper searching for the best food deals? Look no further. Adams Cash and Carry can help you save big. We're not just a food wholesaler for takeaways and restaurants. We also welcome household customers at our warehouse in Westwood, Peterborough. Visit our website and enjoy wholesale prices on everything from drinks to flour, rice to burgers and much more. To shop, go online and collect in store. Visit adamscashandcarry.co.uk today to start your savings spree.
Satisfy your cravings at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant. Enjoy a tantalizing variety of Chinese, Italian, Pakistani and comfort food favourites from starters to desserts. Kids under 5 dine for free, so bring the whole family to our location at 63 Sycamore Avenue. Open every day from 5 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. Call us on 01733 313131 or book online to reserve your table. Ibrahimi-restaurant.co.uk. Every bite is a delight at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant.
Masterminds Tuition Academy is for your high schoolers, your something to provers, your subject strugglers and keen learners, your brave jumpers and fist pumpers. Affordable personalised learning plans are delivered through our centres in schools across Peterborough. But not to worry, we also provide online and home visits with flexible timings. Whether it is maths, English, science or 11 plus, Masterminds is a must. Find us on all socials and visit our website mastermindstuitionacademy.com or call us on 07516 166 003. Masterminds, master the matrix.
At Cake Inn, all our cakes and slices are freshly baked for that delicious taste. At Cake Inn, we bake 100% vegetarian and halal eggless fresh queen cakes. Delicious flavoured cakes for birthdays and weddings, ceremonies and all other occasions with free customised messages, even balloons and candles too. Order for delivery or collection from Cake Inn, 489 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PE, and your cake could be ready within 2 hours. Find out more and order online at cakeinn.co.uk or call 01733 496 584.
Do you own a restaurant or takeaway? Cater Fair is an expert supplier of new and used commercial catering equipment. Visit caterfair.co.uk for quality equipment on sale at the lowest prices, or call us on 01733 310 115 or visit us at 11 Royce Road, Fengate, Peterborough.
For the top pizza in Peterborough, visit Top's Pizza, established in 1988 for delicious pizzas with freshly made dough daily. View the extensive and mouth-watering menu online at topspizza.co.uk, then choose from traditional tasty toppings, something different, or create your own with fresh 100% halal meats, salads, veg, and a great choice of sides too. Call into Top's Pizza, 52 Broadway, PE1 1SB. Call 01733 913 775 or order online for delivery or collection.
This is Salam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Welcome back to Salam Radio, dear viewers and listeners. Today we have Tomorrow's Voice, another episode of Tomorrow's Voice, and I am your host for today, Abdul-Roqeeb. And today we have Malik. Assalamu alaikum. And we have Brother Joshua as well. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
And just before the break, we were discussing the topic of back to school. And we thought it was prudent to discuss this topic due to the children returning back to school starting from this Wednesday, or if not, at least definitely from this week, Monday onwards. And just before the break, we were discussing a couple of things, the importance of having the correct intention. Yes, going to school is a means of seeking knowledge, it's a means of doing da'wah, it's a means of, attaining many things. But let's actually have the intention for it. By having the intention for it, we're going to have a way of getting extra ajr. And we were saying in the just before the break, who doesn't want extra ajr? Who's going to say, now, had enough of ajr. Everyone wants extra rewards. Everyone wants extra ajr. So it's by having the correct intention, by making intention that this is a means to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a means to do da'wah. It's a means to get knowledge, beneficial knowledge, and a means to better themselves. Then, inshallah, we can get extra reward for it. Now, before the break, our Mufti and Sheikh Malik was...
Don't look at me, bro.
Our Mufti and Sheikh Malik was saying something. Hopefully Allah has given him the
see how humble he is.
Ability.
Like,
I know.
Yeah. So happy. He's looking around like...
Where? Where's this Sheikh? Where's this Mu'allim
about to give his seat
talking
up.
about? He genuinely went straight away.
Someone must be coming in.
Oh yeah. Someone must be coming in. Where's he coming from? But no. So before the break, he said he was going to mention something. Please, the floor is yours.
Essentially, it was about as Brother Joshua was mentioning the question of how do you even do wudu and stuff like that.
Yes, that's where we were.
I was essentially just gonna say that other than you getting caught with your classmates, with one foot in this sink, one foot in the other sink, trying to do your wudu, there's other ways that are more beneficial for you to be seen as different from other people, and which is through your character, right? And it's not just your character and how you deal, with your colleagues and classmates and friends, but also the teachers, right? Because many a times you hear some wild stories of beef between teachers and students, right? And unnecessarily, painting the picture that Islam teaches, the disrespect between teachers and students, which is completely, the opposite. In Islam, teachers are regarded, almost as, virtuous as your parents, right? Because, and even a Sahaba like Ali, right? Ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anhu, he would say that if somebody even taught me one letter, I would consider him my teacher and I'd do anything for that, right? So I think just as, we try and strive to, do our salah and do all these ibadah and worship that are outwardly showing people that, I am Muslim. But even outside of that, through our normal, regular interactions, we should be showing ourselves to be, superior, if that makes sense. Or to be showing ourselves to be pure and, kind-hearted. And as you said, it's all about the intention. If you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the forefront, then in whatever you do, you fear that, is Allah going to question me about this? Am I doing this am I representing our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam the right way, right? So I thought I'd just sprinkle that in there, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
This kind of ties in with what you were saying the way here, though, with praying Fajr and starting a day with actually obviously acknowledging that Allah is the creator. If you do that, then you're going to have better character at school. Exactly what Malik just spoke about.
I think you're right. Everything does link to each other. How do you, and it's actually part of what we were mentioning. I think it was the Joshua that mentioned that just even in the car, have a little conversation with them. Islam shouldn't end at the car ride, at the gates of the school, and then picked up again after class. Islam should be with you. And a way of reminding yourself is obviously with your intention, but also through preparation. Our teacher was mentioning to us that, and unfortunately that's the case. School isn't just school. School isn't just this super happy, place where there's just rainbows and sunshines and everyone's having lots of fun, that sort of thing. Perhaps nursery might be, but
maybe for some famous, popular kids in school, like the head boys, and the
what are you? What is he?
Was it like a movie?
Yeah,
main character.
School didn't start unless he showed up.
Doors open, everyone stops.
Teacher's just there waiting.
Literally.
MashaAllah. Run the whole school.
The main character walks in. We were waiting for you. The class does not start. The bell doesn't dismiss you. I do. Apparently, I'm the one who dismisses the class.
With some preordained dialogue waiting for you to come.
Everything they've just said is not true. Moving on.
Allegedly.
As I was. No, that's Jazakallah khair. As I was trying to say before, someone was waffling. But I literally said all of that was not true. Anyways, allegedly, apparently. So as I was trying to say, just as you would prepare yourself for all sorts, for example, you have an interview, you would prepare yourself. You have, you're going to work, you have to prepare yourself, your lunch, whatever. You would need to prepare yourself for school. And I was trying to say that our teacher was mentioning, unfortunately, this is the state in which the schools are in now, that, it's not just going to school to study and to learn. It's a battleground, our teacher mentioned. It's a battleground for what? For different ideologies. Because in one lesson, you're being taught this. In another lesson, you're being taught this. And in another lesson, you're being taught this. All from a certain, dimension. Because the school curriculum is mandated by the government. There are certain things that you have to learn. For example, the curriculum, it's still history. You have to go all the way from Anglo-Saxons to this, to that, to that, to this, to this. Geography, you need to learn this, that, you need to learn that. So all of it has been mandated. All of it, you have to learn it in a certain way, in a certain dimension, from a certain viewpoint.
So trying to mold you.
Exactly. Yeah. They're trying to mold you to a certain, in a certain way. So it is a battleground of different ideologies. And unfortunately, and as parents especially, we leave our children and we basically go and fend for yourself in this war zone. Yes, you might think, oh, come on, war zone, battleground, it's just school. Calm down. But it really does feel like that sometimes, especially when, our children are young, they don't understand. It's so easy for them to then think this is the new normal. And then we're surprised when our children go home and they start acting a certain way. You're like, I didn't teach you that. You might not have, but the school's teaching them that. And sometimes it's almost as if the children are more at school than with the parents than at home. Because let's say 6 or 7 hours they're sleeping, so they're with no one. Then 6-7 hours they're at school. And then you only probably get 3-4 hours to spend with them, and then they're doing something else. If that, exactly.
Time,
exactly.
What are you doing with them?
And then we're shocked when they start acting a certain. We're like, this isn't what's happening. It's the hold that school has on them. It's the way that school is presenting certain ideologies.
It's not even just the curriculum by itself. It's not just what the government is, from the other kids as well, right? If there's other kids who are not on Islam and they, they have bad character, if they hang out with them, if that's their friend group, slowly they're gonna, hopefully they introduce their good habits to them, but slowly some of their bad habits is gonna, go to them. So I think, if you make a habit, to open up at the end of the school, if you pick them up, what did you do today? What did you do with your friends? What was the highlight of the day? What was some things you didn't like about the day? You speak through them, and then you show them what's right and wrong. You tell them that, that what he did there, it's not right. He should have done this. Don't do this if he comes to you. If you show them the right and wrong, instead of just them trying to understand what's right and wrong, just through what's socially, acceptable in the school. What do the teachers like? What do the teachers don't like? Because you got to remember, at the end of the day, different from a madrasa, teachers in school don't care. Like, in a sense, they don't care for your well-being. No teacher's going to ask you, have you paid your fajr today? Or, have you got wudu right now? Are you expecting knowledge? They're not going to do that. They're just there. They have their script. They just got to read it. That's it, right?
As long as you get the grades.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's good.
That's the only goal. So, as parents, we should also make it a goal of ours, or we should implement it when we teach them from right and wrong, to try teach them from a point of view to show that you care for them. You care about them and their well-being. You should show a massive contrast between how they're taught in school and how you teach them, how you sit them down and you try, familiarize them with what's right and wrong according to the Quran and Sunnah. think
Very well said. Very well said. That's why he's the sheikh. But moving on. So as I was also mentioning, it's a matter of preparation. You know, they've got lots of different things to be struggling with during the school day. So one of the things our teacher advised and suggested is that your child should not leave the house without having prayed Salatul Fajr. Your child should not leave the house without having praying Salatul Fajr. Why? Because it's a means of preparation, a means of protection as well. You're starting with prayer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mandated prayer. Prayer is important.
They mentioned that in the intensive. Remember the one before the last one?
Is it the 40?
If you pray Fajr, then there's like there's some sort of protection.
I mean, Salah in general is a form of protection from
for sure.
Different evils, different vices in the one. I'm not sure exactly what one you're referring to. Which intensive was this? Was it the hadith one?
Yeah. But I think it wasn't a hadith mentioned. He was just
I'm glad you know.
Yeah, I probably didn't said anything, so I can't remember precisely.
It's like if you start off your day, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you end it remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, all of the things that you've done in between as well, whatever bad you've done, it will be forgiven, and whatever good will be influenced by that salah. But yeah, I know exactly what you're
because the young boy said something. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
As long as both the sheikh know, it's sufficient for me. Since you kept on denying, since you're denying it, very well said. Salah is a means of protection. It's a means of preparation. It's a state. It's a state of mind. So our teacher advised that your child and yourself, obviously, should not leave the house without having praying Salatul Fajr, because it's a means of preparation. Imagine two scenarios. Imagine a child that prays Salatul Fajr and then goes to school and comes back, and a child that does not pray Salatul Fajr, goes to the school and comes back. You might not see a big difference, but there are little differences here and there. This is someone who started his day praising his Lord, and goes to seek his risk, and in this case, it's seeking knowledge in the sense of going to school. Than a person who does not start with praising their Lord without praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They'll have a big difference in their day. They're not equal. They're not equal. It's true. It's true. Someone who starts their day with salah and someone who doesn't. And then you go out there, someone might go, I don't know why, but I was extra tired today, or it was a really difficult day, or this. Or just from the way they will be able to interact, the way they will be able to react to certain things that happen in their day. Imagine if you have no salah, if you're not reminded of Allah, if you're not, as we mentioned, that 10-minute conversation when you're dropping them to school, you're not reminded of Islam or something like that. How would you react to someone who was saying, okay, you're about to go to school now, son, conduct yourself in an Islamic manner. This is right, this is wrong. Our children should not be taking that 10 minutes before they get to school on their iPads or talking about worldly things. Or, I can't wait to come back home. I've got to go to my PS27 and play the next whatnot game or whatnot. This is not the discussion that they should be having. It's a great way of doing extra dhikr by going, okay.
And the point you made, Zakariya, the point you made about having the reminder, right? I just wanted to mention, especially if you're going into like university, and,
very important.
If you have the opportunity to like represent Islam through just your clothing itself, you may view it as a small thing or even a burden because like you're sticking out, everybody else is just But slowly, start with baby steps. Maybe. Start carrying the tasbih with you a few times. Maybe start wearing just the hat on Fridays, right? Maybe slowly wear the hats every day, and then slowly, you'll have the jubba.
Back your clothes, I guess.
Yeah, even that, right? So long as you have the intention, and this is what it all comes back to. You have the intention to, inshallah, one day I'll be, in the traditional, Islamic clothing, right? Where you have the jubba, you have the hat, and it's not just for your own sake, it's for others, other Muslims 100%. That see you representing that, thinking, why am I not doing that? Right? You can do the same.
Even these days, I feel like with what's happened with the anti-Islam kind of like view, it's important to wear Islamic clothing to show people that Muslims are also normal people. And maybe from the point of like, from the sister's point of view, it'd be good to wear it because obviously there's that narrative now that in countries like Afghanistan, women are told they can't be educated. And I'm pretty sure that's not in line with Islam. So if you're wearing like the hijab or
that's respected, that's encouraged.
they'll understand that, Islam does encourage educating women.
100%. And when, I mean, obviously I could be wrong. I don't want to speak for them, but I feel like for the sisters especially, if because obviously when it comes to their clothing,
they have to, innit?
They have
Yeah,
to.
that's what
right?
I always
it's a very
think.
specific thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to men, you have some flexibility. But
Yeah.
if as men we give up that flexibility for the sake of making them more comfortable, right? Because
You're kind of hiding.
yeah, if you imagine you're a sister and you're dressed in Islamic clothing and you're in a train, for example, and you're commuting back home, right? And you enter the train and it's just there's no if it's a crowded train and you have some Muslim brothers and you can see by their attire they're Muslim, right? At least you'll have some sort of
comfort, some
Yeah,
sort of,
yeah,
some sort of
100%.
peace, right? So it's not just for you and to encourage others to do what you're doing, but to encourage those ones who are already doing it to feel more safe, to have
And all the sisters on the front line, they're wearing hijab and we don't have to wear the topi or grow a beard, long beard, or wear like Islamic clothing. It's not fad, but they have to. So their target sometimes.
That's a lot of respect, and I didn't even consider this, but part of the show. Not even those going to university, but younger sisters, younger daughters going to school, for example. You have to manage that discussion. Are you going to wear hijab? Are you not going to wear hijab? Siri's trying to inform us of whether they should wear hijab or not. I mean, there's Sheikh Google. Maybe Siri was like, right, let me just let you in of my input. So, this is conversations that parents have to have. I didn't even think about this because, we're men here. So naturally, mashallah. Now Siri's trying to tell us where to go.
Inshallah. I don't think it's that easy, man.
And I don't think Siri will know, to be honest. I don't think Siri.
We're trying to figure out the way he's telling us.
2 more miles and I'm there.
But I'm pretty sure Google's Israeli, so it's probably going to tell us the wrong direction.
But no, as I was trying to say before, the input by Google there. So I didn't even consider this because we're men, but parents need to be having these conversations with their daughters. Let's say we have a 14-year-old daughter going to year 8 or year 9, around about that age, especially reaching the age of maturity as well. They have to, observe the hijab. But it's very difficult, some, they just can't because it's very difficult and, they've known you to wear a hijab. All of a sudden, you're becoming holy, you're becoming religious. There's so much peer pressure, there's so much thoughts that goes in their head, especially being at such a sensitive time, that age where they're going through puberty. There's so many thoughts, so many hormones going through their body. Yeah. So it is very difficult. I didn't even consider that. And as he said, it's they have to wear it, they have to observe it. And, compare it to us men, we're like, okay, do I need the hat? Do I need that? As long as I cover my aura, that's it. So perhaps something we can focus on another time, but it is difficult. And I think, and as I mentioned before, parents definitely need to acknowledge this. I went to school as well 10, 15 years ago. The school you went to compared to the school they go to, it's a world of difference. And I think, some parents still don't understand that. It's just school. I went to school as well. Everybody's gone to school. It's not as if you're going into a battlefield, as I mentioned, but it's a worlds of difference. The things you're being taught, our children are being taught, you wouldn't even have considered it, 20 years ago. Some of the things they're being taught, some of the things they see, some of the things they hear, it's very difficult. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all our children going to school, inshallah. But no, I think it's very important to acknowledge that difference. And one of the ways of doing that is, son, daughter, how was your day at school? 10 minutes. I'm sure parents have busy lifestyle, but 5-10 minutes. How was your day at school? Either on the drive back home, at the dinner table, just 5-10 minutes, before they're doing their homework or after their homework. Because as I said, school doesn't just end there at 3 o'clock. Then there's homework, then there's extra tuition, this, that. What time are you spending with your children before you know it? So, that 10 minutes, at the dinner table, that 10 minutes on the drive back or on the walk back or something. How was your school today? What happened? And as Malik was mentioning, when they relay what happens, then use it as a means to give them, a bit of guidance. Oh, this happened, you should have done this. Oh, that's very good. MashaAllah, you did this. Next time do this. Next time change this, for example.
That's why the madrasa is probably Like, very important at that age.
Very true, very true. I mentioned it in the car coming here that we wanted to touch on madrasa as well.
Yeah.
It's, let's see, 5 days a week, around about 6-7 hours. That's about 35 hours of them going to school, let's say. And then, we're saying, oh, that's it, school is enough. No. If our children are going to school, they definitely then need to be going to madrasa. Of course, in an ideal world, they should be going to madrasa more than they're going to school. Madrasa should be school. Madrasa should offer, obviously, Islamic knowledge, but, help them out in the basics of maths, English. Imagine how the lessons of science, physics, all of that would be different if they were taught from an Islamic perspective. Yeah. Because, for example, physics and, chemistry and biology, I was amazed by all of this. I'm like, whoa, so cool, that sort of thing. But what was the dimension they presented it? Oh, chemicals, a bunch of chemicals together, and it just happened.
Yeah, one of them is to show you, the amazement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, and the other one is to, almost refute the existence
It just
of Allah
happens.
subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
That's it.
So,
imagine if you learn chemistry, you learn maths, how these numbers, add up, how it all just works from an Islamic perspective, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control. That it is through the blessings and the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we see, if you add two solutions, they make this color. That would strengthen our iman. But instead, our children go to school and learn chemistry, random chance, I guess if you do this, that's what happens.
And the credit's never given to all the Muslim giants.
Yeah, you didn't hear about him. Yeah,
it's always some white man who adopted the idol, the idea and made it his own thing, and then his name is slapped onto it. And hey, it's this.
There's never credit. I think especially from some of the reading that we've been doing, the Muslim Ummah contributed to a lot of the sciences. There was a golden age in Islam where that was because it was considered as a form of ilm, a form of knowledge. They pursued the sciences, astrology, those sorts of things. And yet, no reference point. Then it's like, oh, some random geezer down the road was the one who discovered it, or that sort of thing. And it is quite frustrating. But, that's why you should be educating your kids. Through what? Through madrasa. Now, let's be honest. The madrasa that we have here is usually we send our kids to them, 2-4 hours, that's at max. 2 hours, 4 hours of madrasa is better than no madrasa. First and foremost, I think that's important to acknowledge. But even that, even the 2 hours, even the 4 hours of madrasa is not enough. Because if they're getting 35 hours of this, of that, of these ideologies being fed to them, and you think 4 hours of madrasa can offset that? Of course, it's not possible. That's why, as parents as well, we need to be giving them good akhlaq. We should be teaching them. We should be discussing these sort of things. And that's why an advice of our teacher was that in the house, every day, one ayah of the Quran, one hadith, discuss it amongst yourself. Just to be developing those good traits. For example, on the way to school, for example, if you take your children to school by car, by bus, or you're walking them, discuss a hadith to them, discuss a ayah with them of, okay, you're going to school, here's a little reminder, here's a little this, here's a little that. And these are like little nuggets of wisdom. This is something that they can cherish. This is something that can take throughout the day, because it's very difficult. It really is very difficult in the school ground. I mean, I was still in school, 2-3 years ago or so, and, I almost shudder to think how things have changed. And unfortunately, not for the better. Some of the things, because we want some youth leaders, it's not even what the kids are saying to you, it's how the kids are acting.
Yes,
you see it. You literally see how the kids are acting, and you're thinking, what are they teaching you in school? What are you seeing in school? This is the problem. This is the problem. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all our kids.
And perhaps we'll have another show on this.
Definitely, I think we need to.
Especially to do with alternatives, maybe homeschooling. Maybe we'll get some of the locals in the masjid that have gone through homeschooling. Maybe they can share their experience. But it's an alternative. It's a viable alternative.
I think it's interesting.
It's definitely interesting. And there's no major downsides. I mean, there's good and bad in everything.
Of
right?
course.
So it's not like if you're homeschooled, that's it. You have a major
disadvantage. advantage or something.
Yeah, it's not the
And
case,
for example, if you have siblings, and especially those who have multiple children, so alhamdulillah, really consider homeschool because, you know, one of the downsides is, no social sessions. They're still amongst each other. They can go to madrasa, they can go for
It's
football
healthy
with some
socialization
groups.
as well. Like at school, I don't think majority of conversations you'd have or interactions.
Even the friendships you make.
Do you know what I'm
most
saying?
of
Are
them
they
don't
really-
last, right? From the madrasa, most of us are connected through the
exactly.
masjid and through the madrasa. And
Yeah, for
those
sure.
sort of friendships are the ones you want to keep and, you know, the actual benefits.
But they're beneficial, yeah, definitely.
But when it comes to friendships that you make in school, most of
After
us
3 years,
are
it all
probably
fizzles
fine.
out.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's gotten their own way. So, you know, today we just decided to discuss, you know, back to school. There were many things we could have said, but we thought it was important, you know. And I think the takeaway message is parents, you know, just give your children a little defense in going to school. Here's a little reminder. This is about Islam. You know, try to remember it for the rest of the day. And as I said, there's so much to say, but unfortunately we've run out.